Good morning, scholars. We are today going to talk about ask and answer questions when we're reading. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a story today. And as we look through it, we are going to ask and answer questions before, during, and after we read it. Now, the story that we are going to talk about today is the story What About Bear by Susan Bloom. And we know that Susan Bloom is the author. That means that she wrote the words. And since we don't have an illustrator here, we can assume that Susan Bloom is also the illustrator. So she drew the pictures as well. This story is a fantasy. So it is not a real story because we know that when we talk about fantasy, the events in the story were made up by the author. Some events, such as animals talking, could never happen in real life. A couple of examples of fantasy that we may know is the story The Princess and the Frog. Now, we all love this movie. We love Tiana and Prince Naveen, but we know that frogs cannot talk for real. So this is a fantasy. Another fantasy is the movie Cars. We love Cars, Lightning McQueen, and the sheriff. But it is a fantasy because we know that cars cannot talk. And the last story that we're going to look at as an example of fantasy is Zootopia. Zootopia is a wonderful story about lots of animals, but again, we know in this story it is a fantasy because these animals do not talk. So the first thing we're going to do today to talk about asking and answering questions is we're going to look at our story and we're going to take a picture walk through What About Bear. Now, when we take a picture walk, we're just going to ask ourselves some questions. What do you think is happening? So look at the cover page here, and the cover page is the front of our book before we open it. We could ask the question, what is Bear doing? Is that a box he's holding? Is he holding a suitcase? What do we think this foot is sticking out? What do we think this little puff is over here? All questions that we can ask, and then as we read, we will find the answers. So as we move through the story, we'll continue to ask and answer questions about the story. So before we begin reading it, we're just going to take our picture walk through and take a look. So we have a bear and we have a goose, and it looks like they're playing in a toy chest. What could they be playing with? What kind of toys are they going to grab? Are they going to play a game? And there's that little puff again. What is that thing? Here they are again. Oh, you know what? We can tell the bear and goose are playing with puppets. We know that these are puppets because they both have puppets on their hands. Maybe they're telling a story. Maybe they're acting out a play. Whatever we think that they're doing, we're just going to continue to ask and answer questions through this. Here we are again. Now it looks like they have a new friend. What is that friend doing? He seems very excited to be with them. Here we can tell that the three friends, bear and goose and I guess fox, well, we know what that puffball was. Now we can see it's a fox. Are playing with something. Is that a ball? Is that a koosh? We don't know. Here they are playing hopscotch. We can see that the little fox is drawing some numbers. What do we think that they're going to be doing here? Look at Bear. Does he look like he's happy or sad right now? He has his arms on his head, on his hips. He's kind of looking at them. Goose is looking at the hopscotch like he's not sure what is going on. And here we go again. Bear is trying to do his hopscotch. His arms are out. Look at his face. He doesn't really have a happy face right now. Goose and fox are a little bit worried. Continue to ask these questions. Here we have them again. It looks like Goose is holding some checkers and Fox is holding that board and Bear is standing with that toy chest, just looking at them, wondering what we can do next. Oh, if we take a look at this picture, what is going on? It looks like Bear and Fox are playing a game, Goose and Fox are playing a game, but Bear doesn't look very happy. He sat down on that toy chest. Now he's just hanging around and he's looking at Goose and Fox, not sure. All right, so look at Bear's face. What kind of face do we think he is making here? Is this a happy face? Is it a sad face? Is he mad? Is he angry? And look at Goose's face. She kind of looks like she's down in the dumps, not sure what to do. And Fox is scrambling around in that toy chest. Uh-oh, what happened now? Looks to me like Bear's walking away. Fox has his binoculars looking out. Goose isn't quite sure what to do. Uh-oh, what about here? Fox is just sitting there. Bear looks like Bear looks like he's walking away still, but Goose looks like he's yelling something. And now we have Fox all alone hugging his tail. If we look at this page here, we see Fox is still holding his tail, and Goose has Bear's hand. Looks like he's pulling him back into the story with us. Same thing here, still looking. Fox is hiding behind his tail. Why would Fox be hiding behind his tail, though? That's my question. What's he worried about? And here it looks like they look at all their faces. They have smiles on their faces. They're playing with the jump rope. All three of them are getting along. And here they are at the end of this story. Bear is holding Goose and Fox, and it looks like they're reading a book. So those are some of the questions that we can ask while we are reading our story. Before we read our story, we take that picture walk through. So now we are going to go back to the beginning of our story, and we're going to read the whole story and see if we can answer some of those questions as we read it. So here we have What About Bear by Susan Bloom. So remember, Susan Bloom is the author, and we know that since this is at the beginning of the story and it is very big and bold, this is our title of the story. Let's play. And remember, we know this is a fantasy because animals can't talk. Here they are laughing. Looks like they're playing with those puppets of theirs. Hey, can I play? So Fox is now asking Bear and Goose, can I play too? What do you think they're going to say? So that's some of the questions we could ask ourselves. What do you think their answer is going to be? Are they going to let him play with him? Are they going to let him join in on the fun? Sure, jump right in. So they all agreed, hey, Fox, you can play with us. Come on in. I want to play a different game. So we know that they're now playing hopscotch, and they were all happy playing with the ball, but now Bear does not look like he's too happy with that. And Goose looks confused. Maybe she's never played that before. What about Bear? Bear is too big. So Bear can't play hopscotch because he's too big. His feet don't fit on the hopscotch game. I want to play a new game. So now Bear's holding that toy chest, and Fox and Goose are having the checkers out, and they want to play checkers together. What about Bear? Bear is too grumpy. So why do we think Bear's grumpy here? Well, if you think about it, checkers is only a two-person game. So that means that only two people can play checkers. So Bear is not too happy about this because maybe he wants to play checkers too. I want to play a new game. So Fox decides, you know what? I want to play a new game. So he goes over and he looks inside that box to see what he could find. And Goose and Bear are standing there. They don't seem very happy. They seem a little frustrated. They're not too happy about any of this. What about Bear? Bear is too far away. So if we look at this, Bear looks grumpy, and sometimes when we are playing a game or our friends want to do something else, we may get frustrated and decide, you know what, we're just going to leave, which isn't very fun to our friends because they still want to play with us. But Bear is my friend. Wait, Bear, come back. So Goose is now running after Bear, trying to catch him. What about me? So now Goose left to go get Bear, and Fox is standing here wondering, what about me? No one's coming to play with me or come get me. Bear is my big, old, sometimes grumpy friend. You can be our new friend. So, do you want to play with us? Yes, I do. So Goose has decided they can all get together. They can all be friends now. Bear is his old grumpy friend, but if you look at that, Fox is their new friend. So now that they can all play, all three of them together. They found a game that they can play that is all three of them. They found hopscotch. So now they're all going to play hopscotch together. Or not hopscotch, I'm sorry. They can all jump rope together, and we have Bear holding one end, Goose holding the other end, and Fox in the middle jump roping. And here they are. Another great thing to do as a group of friends is reading a story. So Bear is holding Fox and Goose like a big chair, and Goose is reading them a story. So those are some things that we can learn about when we talk about asking and answering questions. So remember that What About Bear is a fantasy, very similar to these stories that I have here. And when we ask and answer questions, we want to make sure that we ask the questions at first and we continue to answer them throughout the story. So in class, a lot of times we talk about how I know many scholars will stop and will ask questions throughout our reading, and we'll continue to do that. So that is the end of our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed our story. We will continue to work on more assignments like this from the beginning of the year and asking and answering questions weekly as we move through our readings.